Now, your ideas of space are highly erroneous. Space, as you perceive it, simply does not exist. Not only is the illusion of space caused by your own physical perceptive mechanisms, but it is also caused by mental patterns that you have accepted. Patterns that are adopted by consciousness when it reaches a certain stage of evolution within your system. When you arrive or emerge into physical life, not only is your mind not a blank slate waiting for the scrolls that experience will write upon it, but you are already equipped with a memory bank far surpassing that of any computer. You face your first day upon the planet with skills and abilities already built in, though they may or may not be used, and you are not merely the result of heredity as you think of it. You may think of your soul or entity, though only briefly and for the sake of this analogy, as some conscious and living divinely inspired computer who programs its own existences and lifetimes. But this computer is so highly endowed with creativity that each of the various personalities it programs spring into consciousness and song, and in turn create realities that may have been undreamed of by the computer itself. Within the personality, however, in the most secret recesses is the condensed knowledge that resides in the computer as a whole. I must emphasize that I'm not saying that the soul or entity is a computer, but only asking you to look at the matter in this light in order to make several points clear. I mention this whole subject here, however, because I want you to see that your environment is not real in the terms that you imagine it to be. In a very real way of speaking, your concept of reality, as seen through your physical senses, scientific instruments, or arrived at through deduction, bears little resemblance to the facts, and the facts are difficult to explain. Space and time, for example, are root assumptions.
I'm Simon Haiduk. What you just watched was a time-lapse of a digital painting turned into an animation of my artwork, Tasha Treeheart. It was created as a devotional prayer to my twin sister Tasha and her healing process. That's her, and the other trees represent our family members, surrounded by our angelic guides. I showed that because the most common questions I get asked are what inspires you and how do you do that? So this presentation is a little peek into my inspiration and process. It starts with my intention to express gratitude for the beauty of this world. My main inspiration comes from nature. And there are many layers to nature, more than we typically perceive. Here, I'm talking about metaphysics, or as I also like to call it, the science. Modern science tells us that we only see 0.035% of the known light spectrum, and that everything is 99.9% space. In the electric universe model, everything is connected through plasma energy. It can also be said that the foundations of the universe are vibrations of light and sound. All of these have degrees of truth. Once we recognize that all matter is actually energy, we can begin to form a new vision of ourselves in the world around us. We begin to realize that our surroundings are not always what they seem. So what does the framework of this visible light or form of our known universe look like? Here's a scientific diagram showing that framework. Here's another one, and the next one is a magnification of brain neurons. Perhaps you can notice some of the similarities and make the connection. The next one is the root structure of mushrooms, also known as mycelium. Mycelium, the roots of fungi, typically reside in the forest floor. They often work symbiotically with other plants to send nutrients and information. Life is interconnected. Another example of this unifying energy can be seen in the way a school of fish or flock of birds move together, synchronized as though they are one mind. Now, something that always blows my mind when I think of it is how the tallest trees on Earth grow from a microscopic seed. This invisible seed is in the ground with enough information to start building a tree. Then when it comes through the ground, it starts gathering nutrients from the sunlight, air, and other factors, and over time it becomes this magnificent tree, which is then often home to many other creatures. But where was the information to grow this magnificent tree? Did it exist entirely in the microscopic seed, or is it in the nutrients and energy of all things combined? This could be said to be true about humans and really all forms of life that have growth stages. Now, we know through the use of Wi-Fi and radio technologies, there's information around us all the time. It immediately converts to videos, music, text messages, etc. upon your command to access it through your devices. For example, audio streams into the receptor on your device, and then it is invisibly relayed to a Bluetooth speaker. Then the speaker pushes airwaves out, also invisible. Then your eardrums sense it, and your brain interprets it, and then you experience it as music. And you have a sensation, both emotional and physical. But where does this information live? This is something I'm curious about exploring with my art. Is there a kind of Wi-Fi in nature that we've forgotten how to tap into consciously? Something, perhaps, that allows for more harmony between the Earth and its shared inhabitants. And if we could see it, what would it look like? Now, it's not just Wi-Fi and radio frequencies, but sound is also an energy that we experience, typically invisible. Yet, we can capture images of sound when it is sent into materials. This is called cymatics. It is the visual representation of sound. These are photos of sound frequencies in transparent plates of water. These next ones are sound frequencies sent into sand filaments. Notice the intricacies of these. It implies to me that these represent patterns within the interwoven tapestry of how matter is formed. It is alive and ever-changing. Something else that I have a strong interest with is sound therapy. How sound or other frequencies can be sent into the body so it can find coherence for a more natural state of healing. I've also played various instruments throughout my life. I've made music almost as long as visual art. So to me it comes naturally to create visual representations of sound within my art and connect my music to visuals. For example, here, what does a sonic landscape look like? Or here, what does the energy look like around plants? And what does it look like with human interaction? I feel that nature is a bridge that unifies people beyond our constructed ideologies. Even people in cities have parks, pets, and plants because we need this natural connection. It's apparent that animals have extrasensory capabilities that we don't fully understand. Pets can seem psychic and often reflect the emotions of their owners. Maybe you've experienced this. Many cultures around the world, ancient and modern, have myths of animals as deities. Something I learned while traveling in Egypt is that another word for gods or deities is netters, which also translates to the word nature. So I find it interesting that many of the highest beings in their mythology represent aspects of nature and sometimes have animal heads or hybrid features. It's also clear that they had an extraordinary comprehension of geometry and its relationship to nature. It's hypothesized that they were manipulating form on a molecular level, using sound frequencies to make a more malleable structure. Think back to the images of cymatics I showed earlier and the sound frequencies' effect on water and sand to create intricate patterns. Then imagine it on this more massive scale. And it wasn't just the Egyptians. Many ancient cultures building megalithic structures around the world had a unique understanding of how to manipulate matter. Many of these cultures also appear to have had a devotion towards building temples in reverence to divine energies in nature. Now coming back to the human form. In these diagrams, you can see energy flowing beyond the physical form. It connects with and interacts with the surrounding environment. We can tune into this energy field through practices like meditation, yoga, qigong, and more. I've gained a lot of value in my life from those practices. Shown here is the alignment of energy centers within the body. They can be understood as ways of perceiving metaphysical energy. They are points that connect to non-physical energy. They are transmitters and receivers. We are transmitters and receivers of energy. It has also been my experience that with the use of various plant medicines and mind-altering substances, also known as psychedelics or entheogens, that when taken into the body open up our senses and awareness to more layers of metaphysical reality. Combined with meditation, they can be a powerful tool for self-realization and deeper nature connection. They have been amazing allies in my creative process. They can help inform of a deeper connection to a more holistic and interconnected sense of being with all of life. They can help provide perspective and insight for multidimensional healing. They often come from the earth, and we can sometimes connect with earth consciousness when ingesting them. They've been used by people around the world for thousands of years for these purposes. And it's important to remember that it's always a two-way conversation with the medicine and the person taking it. Now, it's not just the plants or fungi with psychoactive effects that are important. Many plants can be considered as medicine. Poisonous ones can sometimes have elements extracted as medicine. Some can be considered weeds that grow around your yard but have edible and medicinal purposes, like dandelion or mint. Some are herbs and spices with multiple purposes, and some are vegetables that you eat. Isn't it amazing that you can grow your own food and medicine to be more connected to nature and to avoid contaminants from industrial growing? I love to garden, and I highly recommend it. Now I want to come back to this word entheogen. It's an alternative word for psychedelics, and the definition is a chemical substance typically of plant origin that is ingested to produce a non-ordinary state of consciousness for religious or spiritual purposes, or more simply put, to access the divine within. Now, I really resonate with that because I can say that most of my experiences with these substances have been of a very divine and uplifting nature. Something related to that which came across my path of exploration is the strong similarities between deep entheogenic states and near-death experiences. People often experience a deep sense of unity, an all-encompassing love, a state of oneness. It often seems more familiar than this physical reality. I've had that experience many times. I've had several death-like moments where I was then held by pure love and light, then returning to my physical body. So I wonder, perhaps we can have a different perspective around death as something not to fear so much as the next journey of our soul. Entheogens are known to help people become more comfortable with their mortality and connection to spirituality, and studies are being done on their use for assistance with end-of-life therapy. The genre of art that I typically work in is most commonly referred to as visionary art or psychedelic art. It often expresses mystical experiences with luminous energy and interwoven geometric patterns that have an emanating source of internal light. Art is a language, and visionary art often describes feelings and familiarity about energies and spaces we know beyond this earth plane. This painting is by Jonathan Solter, and it's called I've Been There. And the reason it's called that is because he was creating it as a live painting at various festivals one summer, and people would often come up to him and say, "Whoa, I've been there." Yeah, but how is that possible? How do people recognize it when it doesn't really look like anywhere on Earth? That's because they have a shared metaphysical experience expressed here through this artwork. This is one of my first paintings from my visionary art series, before I even knew what that was. It's acrylic on canvas from 2004 entitled My Awakening. It has that title because it's an expression of what I call my awakening experience. Briefly, this is what happened. My first psychedelic painting, Astral Projection, was on the wall next to me and a friend while we were on a high dose of entheogens in an intentional setting. The painting opened up as a portal and we transfigured as particles of light into what might be described as the universal mind lattice. A hyperdimensional space of pure energy where everything was simultaneously interconnected and there was no sense of time. A space full of love and strangely very familiar. A lot happened on that journey, but one thing that stands out, and it seems relevant here, is that when we were coming back into our physical bodies, I was visited by what I would describe as a being made of light. It had a psychic conversation with me, showing another version of myself asleep on another plane of existence. It said they were taking care of me there while I was here having a human experience. It took some time for me to integrate that experience, and I have learned over the years that this kind of experience is not uncommon with entheogens. Maybe not the exact details, but there are some key archetypal aspects. Like what I described earlier about the similarities between near-death experiences and deep entheogenic states. I've also noticed the similarities between the framework of energy in this painting and one of the images I showed earlier, the scientific diagram of energy in space. So I wonder, maybe the hyperdimensional space that I was traveling in, which seemed connected to everything and everywhere all at once, is this mycelial universal mind lattice framework of energy like we see here in the scientific diagram. This also makes me curious about the efficiency of exploring inner space, which seems connected to multidimensional spaces and outer space, and the insight we can gain from those experiences. Comparatively, the process of exploring physical outer space uses massive amounts of fuel and resources to blast off of the Earth's surface. But it's not one or the other, just something to wonder about. Now here are some of my other earliest paintings from my visionary art series. These are oil paintings on canvas. At that time I had a stronger interest in expressing more of the cosmic frequencies, the galactivation of my experiences. These images were understood mostly by people familiar with psychedelics. From that point, I felt inspired to connect with a broader audience, and that's when I got back into painting nature. This is an oil painting from 2005, It's called Spiritual Evolution, and it marks that period in my life. However, I was having difficulty expressing the complexities of metaphysical energy that I was experiencing. A few years later, I discovered digital painting, where I was more able to express those layers. This next one is called Metta Grove. It's a digital painting from 2012. A few years after that, I started adding wildlife. As I said before, we can relate to animals as a bridge to nature because we see ourselves in them. We might have a dream as an animal or feel connected to one that relates to this version of ourself here on Earth, like a spirit animal. Many of us deeply connect to our pets on a spiritual level. I often end up with multiple versions of my artwork because there are too many layers of energy to express in one image, and they are in motion as I imagine them. So to honor that, over several years I've animated most of my artworks. Which brings me to how the main part of this show is performed. This is my video palette. It is VJ software used to do live visuals at music concerts. Like a painter has colors on their palette, here each image square represent videos of my animated art and some effects layers by other artists. It's an accumulation of over 20 years of my work. So what you're about to watch is me doing live video mixing along to the music using various layers and effects to emphasize sonic moments, and then adding some post-production magic for this completed version. Also featured is some of my music and tracks from other artists whose credits appear at the end. And this is me in the creative process. Now, I know some of you are thinking, wait a second, did AI have a role in this? Fair question. This version of my intro presentation was created in 2024, right as AI tools became truly functional. Using my decades of skills in motion graphics, combined with new AI tools, this went from a slideshow of still images to animated sequences. Having worked with digital tools since the mid-1990s, I've long embraced their evolution for efficiency and creative expansion. So while I have many reservations around AI, it also felt natural to be curious and explore the use of it for creating parts of this intro, often using my original art as the foundation. Now it's worth clarifying here that the second half of this show, the meditation concert, was created before the rise of generative AI. Around 99.9% of it. My original creations are still the primary source there without AI. Today, AI tools are both magic and mayhem, a mix of promise and peril. We're in an era where near infinite creative potential sits beside necessary caution. Ultimately, whichever tools are used, I believe that intention guides creation, and that a spirit of forgiveness with creative innocence can help us navigate the unknown as we move forward. Someone told me this poem recently that I resonated with. It goes, "How did the rose bloom? By feeling the warmth of the sun on its petals." I feel like this show and all of my creations are an offering of the sunlight from my heart to your petals, and I hope that you feel inspired. Thank you.